Hello everyone, this is Ron Vitale and I'm joined by Dr. Duncan. We're at Siskiyou Vital Medicine here in Medford, Oregon, and this is Wednesday Night Live.
Wednesday Night Live again. My goodness, it goes by so quickly.
Boom!
It's amazing.
Yes,
Doesn't
another
time fly?
week.
The older you get, the faster it goes, I think.
That's possible.
It's possible. So like Ron was saying, we're Siskiyou Vital Medicine. It's Wednesday Night Live. And we like to do this every Wednesday night to bring you guys some good information. We tend to sit around and talk a lot about different things, health topics, life, and just kind of general stuff. And we
Things
thought,
that are out of the box.
yeah,
for the
outside
most
the box.
Yes.
So we figured, well, let's put that online, and because I think we have a lot of good conversations that many of you might find interesting, and we pass along some great information. Mm-hmm. So our practice is a naturopathic direct care practice where we offer unrestricted access to amazing naturopathic services. Ron is a nutritional and lifestyle coach, and our focus is on the foundations of health. So whether you're dealing with the cough or the flu, or you're dealing with something more chronic, I think this is the place to start in terms of taking care of your health, because we like to approach from a foundational level. And I think tonight we're going to talk a little bit about part of that foundation, right?
We are going to talk about a core part of that foundation. Maybe the
pillar
foundation of the foundation.
Okay, I'm
It's
excited.
like all-encompassing.
Wow.
Yes,
Oh,
and that is gut health. We're going to talk about gut health as it's related to immune function. So.
Wow, that's big, right? So the majority of our immune system resides in the intestines, is that correct?
About 70 to 80% of it.
Oh my gosh, who knew? I thought it was all in here, right? In your sinuses. People come in and they have these conceptions, and I think it's because where do we experience things a lot of times? And if you're not mentating correctly, you're not thinking clearly, you have brain fog, or you have some chronic nagging illness going on.
Jaggedy thinking.
Yeah, you can't focus,
Yeah.
right? How are you supposed to focus and achieve the things you're trying to achieve on a daily basis?
Right. When it comes to gut function, it's so important because we had a little presentation back in October at one of the local co-ops where we talked about the gut-brain dynamic, and there's the gut health impacts brain health, and there's actually a brain immune connection as well. So now you kind of begin to get this like triangulation of gut brain immune function.
Right.
That's happening there.
And our immune system is constantly taking samples of what's going on in our environment, right? And the digestive tract, the gut, is really the interface between the outside and the inside. So the immune system's job is to really take samples of what's coming along the pipe to see whether or not it's friend or foe. Is that correct?
Yeah. So how I love to say this is that the digestive tract is basically the outer world running through the inner world. It's a tube that is open-ended, mouth to anus, and it's walled off from the rest of the body. And at each juncture, there is immune tissue. So if we look at the juncture from mouth to esophagus, we've got the tonsils. And then if we look at the juncture between the esophagus and the stomach, there's pyloric lymphoid tissue, or cardiac lymphoid tissue, excuse me.
Okay.
And then from the stomach to the small intestine, that's the pyloric lymphoid tissue.
Okay.
Then you also have Peyer's patches in the intestine, and then at the junction between small and large intestine, you have the appendix, which is kind of like the tonsils of the intestines.
So a lot of people have their tonsils removed, and they continue to swell. Like in childhood, a lot of children have problems with tonsil swelling, and they're so commonly removed. But they actually form or they serve a purpose, right? And they can be sort of a thermostat or a monitor of immune health. So if you're like I had a child tonight whose tonsils swell occasionally. And what it is signaling is that there's something in the child's environment, whether it be, I think it's food in this case, whether it be food or inhalants or allergens, that the lymphoid tissue is actually responding appropriately, and it's not just so easy to just remove them and call it good, right? So you sort of remove the check engine light without ever checking the engine.
And say it's all good.
It's all good. There's nothing going on here.
Yeah, this is fine now.
So the lymphatic tissue is sort of where the immune system lives, and it can give us ideas and give us clues as to what's going on in the body. And if we can read the signals coming from the body correctly, then we can get to the underlying cause of disease. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we want to be operating from.
Exactly.
We want to be at like the foundation, at the root of...
At the bottom. We want to solve the issue, right? Yeah. So
exactly.
So the gut is super, super interesting, and it's very complex. And so we look at the association between the immune system and the gut and how it's affecting our mood, right?
Right.
How it affects our energy production. It affects how well we absorb nutrients. And there's so many different things. And one of the things I like to talk about with people on a foundational level is, first let's figure out whether or not you're producing enough stomach acid. Right? Do we often think about stomach acid other than, heartburn, take a Tums?
Yes.
What should we be thinking about?
There's a saying that I used to use when I was doing clinical consulting work many years ago, about a decade ago, and it pertained to gut health. And it is that when there's problems down south, look north.
Interesting.
Isn't that a good one?
Yeah, I like that.
When there's problems down south, look north. And usually, as north as you can go is here, and this is really where digestion begins, is in our thinking life. But stomach acid is actually really crucial for proper digestion and immune function.
Immune function, right? It's hydrochloric acid. And if you guys know anything about hydrochloric acid, you can literally eat through this table.
No problem.
Right? But yet it's contained in our stomach, which is just fascinating. And the more you get into physiology and biochemistry, the more your mind just gets blown. It's really an intricate system that is full of wisdom and simplicity, really.
Wisdom is one of my favorite words
Let's
to
talk
use.
Let's talk about
This
that.
is one of my favorite words to use for the immune system.
Really?
Because it operates with great wisdom. Wisdom is technically defined as experience, knowledge, and good judgment. And that's really how the immune system is functioning. And the reason why so much of it is in the gastrointestinal tract is because a lot of information is coming in from the outside world that is coming in through the mouth. And the immune system has experience of what's supposed to be there, what's not supposed to be there. It has knowledge of these things, and by using good judgment, it will kill off the things that don't belong and allow the things that do belong to pass.
Right. Assimilation of those things that are going to be useful in terms of growth and repair, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So what's one of your favorite nutrients or supplements to use in, let's say, somebody that's dealing with a lot of GI dysfunction, whether it be gas or bloating, or let's just focus in on gas and bloating. I think that's really common.
Yeah, that's
I get a lot of that. I have gas and bloating, or I have loose stools.
You yourself?
No, that's just no. Excuse me, folks. Excuse my bloating. No, what I'm saying is that, that's a common complaint that I see in people that, I have problems with gas and bloating.
Yeah, and so I think
how do you break that down?
I think you said it, earlier, hydrochloric acid. So making sure that people have adequate hydrochloric acid. That's the first thing. But one of my favorite things to use is digestive bitters.
Digestive bitters.
I love digestive bitters.
Why do you like digestive bitters?
Oh my gosh. It's the most important taste bud we've ever developed as human beings, and it's the one we have effectively eliminated from our flavor profiles.
Right.
And when we get the taste of bitter on our tongue, it stimulates all of our digestive forces, like all of them. Like the stomach, the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, the pancreatic juices from the pancreas, and it stimulates the liver to start secreting bile, and it causes the gallbladder to release bile. So that's the best foundational starting place. Plus, many herbs that are bitter also have immune potentiating properties as well, or antimicrobial properties.
I like that. I like to find things that have dual purpose. Right? I can take it for one purpose, yet it has a benefit on another aspect. And I think, for me as well, bitters is one of my favorite go-tos. Whether I'm dealing with somebody who's had digestive issues for a really long time, or just starting to have digestive issues, or they have problems with thinking or hormone problems, it sort of forms one of those foundations, like you said. It's sort of like the bedrock, right? Our digestive purpose, our digestive forces form the bedrock of health.
Right.
Right.
Exactly, and some of the side benefits of the digestive bitters is also that it stimulates the liver to detoxify.
Yes.
So that's important. Without that external challenge, the liver gets sluggish. It gets a little lazy. So to have the bitters, it kind of gives the liver the reason to do its job.
And you sort of mentioned something in addition to the liver, and that's bile,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and getting your gallbladder to release bile on a frequent, appropriate basis can actually help detox, because that's where the liver dumps the toxins, right? So it's in the bile. So if you can get the bile to clean out and get the sludge out of the gallbladder and get that moving freely, then people who have estrogen dominance or PCOS or dysmenorrhea, or they have hot flashes or skin rashes, or you name it. It's sort of detoxifying the body can eliminate a lot of problems, and it's easy as taking a digestive bitter.
Right, exactly. And the other thing with bitters is that they do work with the immune system, particularly in our sinus cavities and respiratory system.
That's important.
Which, who would have thought that we have actually receptor sites for bitters in our sinus and respiratory system?
Right.
So bitters is the only taste bud that we have multiple receptors for in multiple places throughout our physiology.
All right, so bitters.
Bitters.
That's probably like top 5, right?
Boom, bitters.
Bitters. The herbs that I like to use in my bitters is one, gentiana.
Mm-hmm.
So gentian's a really powerful bitter. Yarrow is another one. I like to use dandelion occasionally, and Oregon grape. Just because we're here in Oregon, right? I mean, let's use the plants that grow around us. And dandelion grows in almost everybody's yard.
Yes.
So include, especially when it starts coming out in the spring, start using those things, right?
If you chew a leaf a day of that, it's amazing what it will do for you. Just one leaf of dandelion will provide you the bitters, but it also provides you a variety of nutrients as well.
Absolutely. From helping with your immune function all the way to cardiovascular function, right? It's pretty amazing that the medicine is all around us, and we sort of see it as maybe pests or weeds. And so another one. What is another nutrient?
How about you? What is one of your favorites?
One of my favorites, and something simple, and one of them is actually a probiotic.
I'm going to see if we have questions.
Okay, good. So
keep going.
Probiotics are one of my favorite things, and the reason that I like probiotics is because they have immune potentiating benefits, as well as they help repopulate a gut that is dysfunctional, right?
Yes.
So we're trying to correct the microbiome, or to encourage a microbiome that promotes health, right? Decrease in inflammation, increase in absorption of nutrients, the production of nutrients in some cases, but really trying to reset the microbiome, which has so much to do with our immune function.
Thinking about how much the microbiome has to do with our overall physiological functioning.
We might just be controlled by our microbiome.
This is totally true.
It's theoretical, but it could be true.
It's theoretical, but we are born 99% human. No, excuse me. We're born 90% human. We die 99% microbial. So your microbiome plays a huge role in all of the physiological functionings of the body, and so it's crucial. So probiotics, absolutely.
Probiotics.
Fantastic for immune function and fantastic for overall gut health as well.
And I like to use probiotics a lot when someone is on an antibiotic. And I think this time of year a lot of people are put on antibiotics just due to the respiratory illnesses that come along with being indoors in close proximities, and we turn our heaters on and the air gets dry, so mucous membranes get compromised, vitamin D levels go down, so there are a lot of forces working against your immune system. So oftentimes people get an antibiotic if they're not seeing an naturopath, right? So if conventionally you tend to get an antibiotic. We use antibiotics here when it's necessary or when it meets the person, when it meets the person's needs. But I always give a probiotic in addition to that, because it sort of potentiates the antibiotic as well as protects the gut against that antibiotic that's been prescribed. So, that's one other reason that I do that.
Do you have a time frame that you make sure they take it away from the antibiotic, like a certain period of time?
So if an antibiotic is given once every 12 hours, I try to alternate that. So in between, I try to make it in between. And so as many antibiotics you take probiotics. So we use a Megaspore probiotic here. That's super durable. It can get through the stomach acid. But we use that in alternating doses with an antibiotic. I try not to take it at the same time. It seems like why defeat the purpose,
Right.
you know. I'm just really trying to support the gut and support the immune system through a really tough time. Because let's be honest, antibiotics are really tough on the body, right? Whether it be on the genetics or be on the microbiome, which affects our genetics and our immune system. So it's really important to be taking a probiotic during an antibiotic. Yeah. Another one I really like is demulcents and carminatives. Have you ever heard those words before?
I have.
Okay. So,
but I have a background in these things.
You do.
So somebody else might not have.
So carminatives, things that sort of soothe the digestive tract and decrease spasming. So, you know, we talk about gas and bloating. So how do you decrease that? And maybe it's a spastic colon.
Right.
You know, and so carminatives, like fennel. Fennel's one of my favorites, and mints can do the same thing. Some people are a little sensitive to mints, especially if they had acid reflux, so you want to be careful with that. But fennel in particular, a fennel tea can actually calm and soothe the digestive tract and help make everything flow a little bit smoother, right?
How about catnip? Do you like catnip for
Catnip, I've experimented with catnip with certain things, but I haven't used it enough to really get a good sense of it.
Right on. Excellent. I just know it's a nice carminative as well.
Absolutely. So, catnip. Who knew? Your cats love it.
We should too.
We should too. Why not?
Why not? So demulcents, I think, are fantastic. I'm thinking about things like marshmallow root and slippery elm.
Slippery elm is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Marshmallow and slippery elm. Okra also.
Okra, absolutely. It's a good one from the south there.
Absolutely.
Love my okra.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, when there's a lot of GI inflammation going on and maybe IBS, Crohn's, or ulcerative colitis, I always think of demulcents. I always think of ways to soothe and heal the digestive tract. And there's a commercial where you get the pink stuff that sort of covers and coats the stomach.
Yes.
I always imagine demulcents doing that too, right? Licorice is also another demulcent.
Yes,
right?
Especially if it's been deglycerinated.
Exactly.
Right.
And you know what I love about licorice? It's great for the immune system too, right? So we're talking about immune system, so we can tie it all back in together. Licorice is a really nice antiviral. So if you are, coming down with flu-like symptoms, or getting a fever, or it's feeling a little stuffy in the sinuses, maybe consider some of these things. Consider taking digestive bitter, or some licorice. And the worst thing you can do is stimulate digestion and improve your health.
Right. And the nice thing, another side benefit of licorice is that it also helps with cortisol. So if you've got bottomed out cortisol from adrenal fatigue or from long-term chronic stress, then the licorice can actually help bring up that cortisol.
Yeah, it acts as, let's have another word, adaptogen, right? So we're looking at adaptogens. How well do you adapt to your environment? Are you bioadapted, So looking at chronic stress in our environment, and that goes back to really talking about the gut health and chronic stress and immune health. So if you're chronically stressed and you're always in a sympathetic state, you're not going to assimilate the nutrients you're taking in your body. You're not going to digest as well, and your immune system's going to take a hit.
And a variety of things can happen there too, because that long-term chronic stress can actually cause the decrease of a really important immunoglobulin in the intestines called secretory immunoglobulin A, which is kind of like the glue that keeps the lining of the intestine together. And if the levels of that drop, that causes a physiological stress response, which will send a message back up to the adrenals to kick out more cortisol, which feeds back down to the gut. And
it's
so you get this,
complex,
right? So it's like this kind of another triangulation of stress, gut function, immune function.
Absolutely. So it's important to take a break, and one of my favorite ways to relax is actually to visit Pat here at Siskiyou Vitamin Medicine. We have Pat Dykes. We had her on, what was it, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Couple weeks ago, yeah.
She's a reflexologist, and if you're in a sympathetic state and you need just a break from your week, I recommend calling and making an appointment with Pat. She's going to help you out a ton. And she's also going to do reflexology, which looks at the foot, right, or the feet, and so that she can tell you whether or not your small intestine is sluggish, or you need adrenal support, or your lungs aren't working appropriately. So I think it's one of the ways to get into a parasympathetic state, and that actually also brings you back to bitters. So bitters stimulating the vagus nerve. right? So vagus nerve stimulation brings you back into a parasympathetic state. It seems to be really simple, but yet you start tearing it apart. And there's so many avenues that are interconnected, so it can be very complex.
Exactly. It's like all of a sudden you've got like all these connecting points around, and it's always an amazing experience to delve into.
Yeah, there's always another way, right? There's always another way. So if one way is blocked, and I like to take like the back way. Some people are very forceful and they give one direct force, but if you think about bitters, you think about the things that we talked about tonight. They're actually, you're directly affecting the gut, but you're also indirectly affecting so many other systems that are at play and have a huge impact on your immune system. And the immune system is so important right now.
Yes. There's one other thing that I think of when
that?
it comes to immune function and gut function, and that is maitake mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
They come up for me because maitakes have these really interesting compounds called beta-1316 glucans that
Can you wait a second? Can you say that again?
I can, as a matter of fact.
Okay, good.
Beta-1613 glucans, or beta-1316 glucans, excuse me. And what these do, these are like long branching chain polysaccharides, so they're these big
long sugars
that interact with something called your Peyer's patches, which are in the intestines. And this is like where macrophage production can happen, and natural killer cell optimization can happen here as well. So when you take maitakes, or you eat maitakes, or you take any kind of maitake product, you can get this natural boosting of natural killer cells and macrophages, and that's going to support your immune function overall.
And that's amazing.
Yes.
Right?
And most of your medicinal mushrooms have these, so like shiitakes and maitakes, and particularly funguses seem to have concentrations of 1316 or 1613 glucans.
Yeah, and again, it's something else you find in the environment commonly,
Yeah.
right? We walk past mushrooms on almost a daily basis in the Northwest, and a lot of that is medicine. So I really love that about at least naturopathic medicine and alternative medicine, where you're looking at things in your environment that are actually good for you, and using the whole plant, or using the plant as food, right? Because food really comes down to as medicine, and I think that goes back into talking about gut and immune function.
Absolutely. So, if we want to go down into the food category, some of the things that you really want to do is avoid inflammatory foods. So as Dr. Duncan was talking about the emulsants earlier, how they're coating and they're kind of soothing to the gastrointestinal tract. When we're eating foods that we have allergies to or are pro-inflammatory, like refined vegetable oils or grains and things such as this, you get all this heat in the intestines. So you get all this inflammation, all this inflammatory heat, and the demulcents can be very cooling for that. And with all that heat, you start to affect the lining of the intestines.
Right.
And now you're starting to cause another stress response and
Right.
affect immune functions.
And then that's why the secretory IgA is really important. And the way I describe that to people is sort of like it's a protective layer. It's like putting on elbow pads when you go mountain biking. It's going to prevent you from scuffing off the skin. So secretory IgA is important. And one of the things that I understand that are useful for that is Saccharomyces boulardii.
Yes.
Right? So if you take a product that contains Saccharomyces boulardii, then you can rebuild the secretory IgA in the gut. And it just performs a barrier between you and the environment. You're taking something that's been growing in nature and you're putting it inside your body. Well, that comes with, that's a pretty risky venture, right? To take something out and put it in. And we depend, without thinking about it, we really depend upon a healthy gut to have a healthy relationship.
There is a proverb, an Arabian proverb,
Okay.
I kid you not, and it says, we eat ourselves sick and digest ourselves back to health. And basically what they're saying is anytime we put something in the mouth, we are kind of invoking sickness, because you have to digest it in order for you to feel good from it. So if you've ever eaten a meal that you didn't digest, how did that feel? Right?
It's very uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. So having adequate digestive forces and optimal digestive health or gut health is really critical for your overall wellness, especially because every time we're putting something in our mouth, if it doesn't go right, actually the only time we notice digestion
This is when it doesn't go right.
is when it doesn't go right.
Yeah, unless you're really
Exactly.
tuned into your bowel movements, right?
Yeah.
You're like, yes.
Or you don't
that
feel
was a
like,
great bowel
like you're
movement.
not like, oh, I know it's digesting in my stomach really well right now,
Yeah.
but you're definitely like, oh God,
There's something's
not right now.
Yeah, I need to go see somebody about that, right? So that's really interesting that you bring that up. That we're just so unconscious about it until there's like alarm bells going off.
Exactly.
And don't ignore the alarm bells. People will take Tums or they'll take some other acid blocker or acid neutralizer for years before they ever do something about it. And really what they're doing is they're marching a slow path down towards osteoporosis and dementia and neurological issues, right?
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
or immune dysfunction. You don't ignore those things. Don't slam the Pepsid AC and then go grab a steak.
Look, it's like crack. You start with the small pack, and that gets you through a little while. But then you notice it takes a little more to get the same relief. So you buy like a little bigger bottle, and then it takes more, and then you buy the big lifetime supply, and then that doesn't last you.
Next thing you know,
you're on the
buying a
purple
case.
pill. You're like now you're like hitting like the real hard stuff. You're getting the prescriptions. That's the inevitability of taking these things and ignoring your digestive health.
Yeah, so before it goes too far, just do some simple things, right?
Bitters, hydrochloric acid,
Probiotics,
demulcents,
herbal teas, right?
Yeah.
Or how about just eating in a relaxed state?
Oh, wow, that's a
What's
novel
that gonna do for
concept.
Smell your food,
Yeah.
right?
Engage
Smell-
all your senses. We talked about that last week.
Engaging your senses, and I think that leads me to think about this class that you're going to be holding with Emmy and Lindsay from Kundalini Yoga, right?
That's right. We're going to be starting January 8th. This is going to be the first in a series of 4 classes for the month of January on the sensory system. So it's an opportunity to come. I'm going to give a little half-hour teaching on the sensory system each week, and then after that you get to go through a Kundalini Yoga practice that is designed to give you an embodied experience of the senses, or to fine-tune your sensory system. So it's going to be a really exciting class.
I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to take it. I recommend that all of you sign up for that class. Give us a call to sign up.
Yep.
And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be transformative. And what a great time of year to offer this. It's the beginning of a new year. So if you're considering starting a new habit or doing something for yourself, I think it's going to be something that is going to have a lot of impact. And I'm really excited that you're taking a concept, right? A concept that you're going to be given in a mental sort of form, like orally, visually.
Yeah.
And then you're going to, like you said, you're going to embody that concept. So you're going to really know what that's all about, right? That's some deep learning.
Yes.
I love it.
It's
I
trying to just like get it in as many ways as possible.
Right.
So.
And Kundalini, the Kundalini practice is going to be, from my understanding, super gentle. So you don't have to be super athletic, right?
Right. You can have a body that doesn't bend.
A body that doesn't bend.
You can. I have one of those, and I'll be there. So.
Yeah, this is going to be great. And I know that flexibility is definitely a key to health, but Kundalini Yoga, from my experience, and we have sound baths here on Friday evenings, whether it be a singing bowl or a gong. Emmy and Lindsay are doing really great, so we get to do a little bit of Kundalini. So if you're interested in just sampling Kundalini a little bit, and then having a meditation where you get to be bathed by this beautiful sound coming off these crystal bowls or this beautiful gong, it's a really nice experience. And I think that the course is going to sort of give you a more of a taste of Kundalini Yoga, but it's not going to be for the person who can do a back bend or do the splits or do something very strenuous. It's going to be you're going to go at your own pace, but it's going to be sort of a mastery of life skills, right?
Yes.
I think Kundalini gives you those skills to deal with that stressful environment that you're living in, or the job that you're pushing yourself through, or the commute to work, or whatever it is, the holiday stress. Who knows?
Exactly. So it's we're calling it our life our life mastery series. So we're going to go system by system, one system each month. So please check it out. It's going to be a great time.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
that's going to wrap it up tonight. You guys, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving. Remember back to our video that we did, what was it, last week? How to survive the holidays.
How to eat healthy through the holidays, right?
Yes. Make sure you eat a little snack. Don't starve yourself and overstuff yourself. All right, guys?
All right. Have a great night. See
Have a
you
great
next
night.
week.
Bye, guys.